Kyle Klingman with Trackwrestling. There's nothing more exciting than saying that we have a brand new program with a men's and women's program, and that's what's happening at Friends University. We have the new head wrestling coach of that program, Aaron Meister. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks, Kyle, for contacting me. It's an honor to be on and to talk wrestling with the best in wrestling.
Well, you got to talk about the last name Meister. You were filling me in on what Meister means.
Yeah, Meister is German descent, and it means master. So I dub myself the wrestling Meister from time to time when I am educating people on the name, because they might say Meister or whatnot, and I go, no, it's Meister. It's German. E before I means master, and so it's pretty cool to throw that on anything that I want to be the master of, I guess.
Well, I like where you were before, Wayland Baptist, and
Yeah.
Miramentsa Stock was a world champion, and what a great human being and what a great person to have in the sport of wrestling. You got to be around her. What's she like?
Well, the best. I mean, in all aspects. She's not just an amazing and the best wrestler right now. She's an amazing person, teammate, friend, whatever. And just one of those, I hope for my sake, not once in a lifetime athlete that I got to coach, because you don't know if you're going to get another shot at one of those again. And I was so fortunate to have that early in my career, but a person that I look up to, as a person, and I got to coach and mentor her. And, that kind of person, if you're doing things right, makes you better. And you have to stay on top of your game and find ways to challenge them. And so she challenged me to be a better coach, so that we could help her reach her goals. And she walks into the room and, she just lifts the room up, the energy, and it's just always so positive to be around. And so I'm fortunate.
Did she give a lot of hugs while she was there? That's what she's known for.
She's a hugger. Absolutely. You don't get to shake her hands if you get to know her. You hug it out with her, and that's, I'm not much of a hugger until I get to know you. And so those are every time that I get to see her, I'm just so happy I get another hug.
What was that experience like at Wayland Baptist for you?
Awesome. Once in a lifetime experience. I love Wayland and all the things that I was able to do there and accomplish and everything. And it's a great program. It's a great school. And there's great people, and so forth. And, if you come to Wayland, you know what you're coming there for. You're coming there to wrestle and get your education and your degree. And they've proven that they can do that at a very high level.
You're now at Friends University. They added women's and men's wrestling. I'm always fascinated when this happens, when an administration decides to add both at the same time. How did this happen?
Well, I think you're just seeing that growth in wrestling at the private, higher education system. And you're seeing a lot of that primarily in the NAIA, which that's what Friends will compete in, is the NAI organization. But you're also seeing that at the D3 level, because they're private, and so forth. You're seeing some D2s at it, but it's just a way to boost enrollment. And Kansas has a ton of schools in the state for wrestling, and the conference that Friends is in the KCAC. The Kansas Collegiate Athletic Conference, I believe, is the correct name for that. Hopefully I'm not wrong. But there's a good system for the KCAC to have wrestling and do it, well. It's a good conference. It's a growing conference. And I think the school saw a need for Wichita to have a men's and a women's wrestling program. Newman University has a wrestling D2 program there. My teammate, my old teammate, friend Ryan Smith is the coach there, and it's literally across the street from Friends. So that's going to be a fun, unique experience. But they saw there was a need for more. Wichita it's 389,000 people, and there's a lot of high schools that school can serve in regards to getting an education in wrestling.
For those like me who don't know much about Friends University, explain what the university concept is like, maybe outside of wrestling, what the university is all about.
Yeah, it was founded by the Quakers many years ago, a Christian faith-based university, and they're kind of seeing a surge here. Being in the city, they've added a lot of infrastructure since like 1990. I'm still learning stuff about school every day, but one of the things that I thought was appealing was since 1990, they've added, like $50 million of infrastructure and whatnot, and, added, increasing their endowment. There's several projects going on around the school, a new weight room and things like that. And so just a robust university that offers basically what almost any other university can offer in the city, which is nice. And that was an appeal to me, just the size of the city, the resources that my athletes can get in regards to a job, working there. We're going to be a year-round program, so I'm going to want kids to live and work and train through the summer. And that's a little bit what Friends is about, that I know of to this point.
Was it a tough decision to leave Wayland Baptist and take this job?
Yeah, absolutely. I, much like many other wrestlers, I put my heart and soul into this thing for 10 years. And a lot of people don't, there's few people that understand that commitment, but when you coach a men's and a women's team, it's all the time. And the travel that we have is extensive. And so between training students, managing, mentoring them academically, traveling, recruiting, it's a lot. And, we've built this program up into a perennial national program that can produce, world level wrestlers. The girls team was ranked number 1, and had to walk away from that in the middle of it. And, that's hard. And there's never easy time for a change like that. But it was a great opportunity for me to get to somewhere that I think long-term can be just as good, if not better.
What's your role going to be? Are you going to oversee both programs and be the inside guy, the head coach for both programs?
Yeah. Yep. That was kind of what I wanted to do. I don't care if it's girls, if it's guys, it's wrestling. A takedown's a takedown, a pin's a pin. And I love being involved. I love staying busy. I love a challenge. And that's the vision that I sold to Friends, is that I felt, as a unit, the wrestling, I didn't want a men's team or a women's team. I want a wrestling program to where those teams work together, and the quality of that unity has the same end goal, the same vision, and that's what I'll be doing. And I'm recruiting like crazy, and I'm building a roster, and then building a staff and building a program. And I've got some experience doing that, and now I've got a little bit of wisdom to go along with it. So I'm excited.
But it is unique because you got to go from folk style to freestyle or vice versa, depending on when the practice schedule is.
Yeah. And I've got 10 years of experience doing that. I've had to learn different ways to coach things that are universal, regardless of the style. Like I said, a takedown's a takedown, a pin's a pin, but there are different strategies, techniques, philosophies that you can use and have, girls and guys practicing together. We will practice separately. I'll have girls practice, I'll have a guys practice, but there's going to be some practices that we practice together. And I've got a lot of experience doing that, and I enjoy doing that. That's a challenge within itself. And so challenges present, and adversity present opportunities to grow. And I'm still young in my coaching career and still want to grow.
Man, the NAI product for the women is just so strong right now. As you mentioned, Wayland Baptist was #1 this season, but just across the board, whether you go Menlo, Campbellsville, on down the line, Life, just so many quality programs. What was it like to be in such a thriving, growing part of wrestling?
That's awesome. I love making history, and being on the forefront of that. And I'll always be able to look back and, look at, when Wayland and when where women's wrestling was 10 years ago, and the fact that when we jumped in it, there were like 10 teams, in all divisions. And 10 years, I don't even know. We got to be close to 100 now, between D1, D2, D3, NAI, JUCO. And that growth is amazing. We're not just talking growth in numbers, we're talking growth in quality. There's, the women's wrestling in America is on the forefront, and they're winning world medals consistently at that, and getting to work with Terry Steiner and the Olympic Training Center and those resources has been a blessing to me, and that's been awesome to be a part of too.
How's the growth in Kansas wrestling been as a whole? There's been some good names come out of there. Melvin Douglas, Eric Aiken, Zach Roberson, some good guys out of there. You're from Kansas. What does it take to make it to the next level?
Oh, a lot of grit, a lot of commitment. That's what it takes. I really didn't have a lot of success, at least high-end success growing up as a youth wrestler. I started when I was 7 and wrestled my whole life. I'm 39 now, so I got 32 years of experience. But even after my high school career, the biggest accomplishment that I had was that I was a state placer, and didn't get a lot of looks, but always felt that I was good enough to compete at that highest level. And took some time off and walked on to a junior college and knew what I was going there for, and just continued to do what I had done previously, but just with more focus. And finally, everything clicked for me, and it happened, and just accomplished my dream, that I wanted to. And just looking back at all those great names, you talk about Eric Aiken, that guy coached me when I was a kid, at Southern Plains, and I went to Melvin Douglas's wrestling camp in Topeka as a youngster, and seeing, Zach Roberson is one of those guys that I looked up to. He was, a couple years older than me, but I wanted to be that guy on the top of the podium. And so being around those guys, seeing those guys, being in that Kansas system, people are seeing that it is pretty good wrestling. So it's an honor.
With all these programs getting added, you say you want to win a team championship. How do you get that done with an upstart program?
A lot of commitment, a lot of work, a lot of believing in yourself. You've got to believe in yourself to do that. And that was one of the things that appealed to me about Friends, is just that support, that level, support that I can get from the school, support that I can get from the city. They love their wrestling in Wichita. There's other Tyler Caldwell and so many other great names. Kendrick Maple is from Wichita, and so they love their wrestling there. And I'm going to need the support of the community and the support of Kansas. And I've got a vision, and that's what I'm going to work for. And we'll see how close I can get.
How do you accomplish what you talked about, making this a wrestling program? Not that it's a men's program, it's a women's program, but this is all part of the wrestling family.
Yeah. You do things together, practices, you don't put one program in front of the other. I think it'll happen organically, just because there's going to be some schools and some competitions, outside of the college season, the USA wrestling circuit, US Open, or, U23s or, juniors that, my club, will train for, and the men and women will travel together and compete. Ultimately, my vision for the NAI is just like the Olympics and the UWWs, is that you got men and women wrestling simultaneously on the mat at the final tournament in the same venue. So that's how it happens. You have the same goals as a program. You want to put people on the podium. You want people to graduate, and you want to see them have success. And I think strength is in numbers is really important. And honestly, when I had Tamara and stuff, we had to bring in some guys for Tamara to wrestle to get her what she needed. And the girls, they like that. They like wrestling the guys. And honestly, the guys, even myself, I love wrestling the girls. It makes me feel a little bit tougher, with those girls, and so forth. So that's how you do it, I think.
When you create a schedule, what do you look for? How are you building that?
Well, conference, you got to stay in conference, and get your stuff there. I'm going to be looking to have and make some tournaments for Wichita. It's in a great location, the crossroads of America, the Midwest, for a lot of your NEI, JUCOs, and D2 programs to have men's and women's wrestling, and that's going to be one of my first tasks, is to establish a date and have a competition for men and women there. And that year-round program that I mentioned, have something for my athletes to train for and compete in, and just let them know that, yeah, I know that process of how to get somebody to that level, and here's the things that we did, is going to be the thought behind building a schedule.
Who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh man, that's a good one. Favorite wrestler has got to be, there's so many good ones. I hate picking the obvious ones that everybody picks, but it's got to be Tamara Mensah for me, just because I got to work so closely with her, and seeing her succeed. When your wrestlers succeed, you succeed. So that's been just an awesome once in a lifetime experience for me at this point.
I've never seen her not having fun. It seems like she's always having fun. Was that the vibe you got when she was in practice?
Yeah, she'd come in laughing, giggling, skipping, leading, and quite honestly, when I recruit people, I don't sit there and ask them, oh, well, what kind of personality do you have? I see it. And if I see somebody who's got that really welcoming, really vibrant, really upbeat, positive personality, I know that's a person that I want to recruit. And I think in wrestling, we have a mindset of that we have to be so tough and we have to be so focused, and we have to train so hard that sometimes it takes away the joy of that. And you wouldn't want to do that to Tamara Mensah. You would be holding her back from who she is and what she's capable of by being that person. And it kind of, it's a whole different outlook on how to go about training, practicing, recruiting. But I've found a couple, more like her with that kind of, mindset, attitude, and and it's worked really well. Oddly enough, Jatia Isaac, now Jatia Thomas, now that she's married, was from the same school as Tamara, and she had a lot of that, and she ended up being a national champion too. So those are some things that I try to look for.
And Tamara must have been able to flip the switch though, because she could turn it on.
That's her thing. You got to find out who you are as a wrestler, and you got to find out what makes it work for you. And when you can identify that, then that's your pregame ritual, and you hear it more when you talk to Tamara or you talk about Tamara and you listen to different interviews, and she understands about that about herself, is that she knows she's a fun, loving, vibrant, outgoing, positive person, but there's a time to flip that switch, and when she does, amazing things happen.
Are you a fun, loving, vibrant person?
I think I'm pretty stoic. I try to work on that a lot, to be more upbeat and smile more, but I'm just so serious, and I'm just really focused that unless you get to know me, it can be intimidating. So I've learned that about myself, and I try to be a little bit more upbeat, positive, and relaxed, because I feel like it allows people to let their guard down, and when you're able to relax and let your guard down, you can go out and compete at a high level.
So you're saying some people might take you wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's the feedback when they take you wrong? It's like, hey, you came across too intense, or you can just see it in the body language. What is it?
Yeah, it's just my demeanor, that I'll give, that people will get from me, especially when I'm coaching, or until you get to know me and you know that about me. But I've talked to people about that, and that's something that I'm aware of, and something that I try to work on. We always got things that we need to work on, and so that's one thing for me that I want to work on, is be, more welcoming to people, so that they know, who I am.
Can you get assistant coaches to cover your gaps?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's that's the plan right now, is build this roster up. I need to I got a posting that I got to get out there for a graduate assistant, at this point, and then ultimately, build into, two full-time assistants, and then two graduate assistants. So kind of the same structure that I built, helped build here at Wayland. And so that's what I'm looking for now.